far as pinion angle changes through travel. To do that, I had to have it penetrate the floor, as you can see. It comes in about 2 inches. It hits in the bottom of the seat, but in the bottom of the back seat. And I can do some trimming on this part to clean it up a little bit. The seat will go over it and completely hide it. I think that, in all honesty, you'll be able to sit in the back of the car because it's kind of at the bottom of the seat, in the crack between it and the bottom piece. So I really don't think that's a big deal, but it is nice to have all the stock angles and shorten these things up so much so that you have no room. In other words, these are set to the center of their travel, which means if you need to screw around with pinion angle or ride height, it'll be completely doable. The shocks that are on the car, like I said before, Ride Tech, and I'm going to order probably 200-pound springs for the car. The nice thing about all that is, if that doesn't work, it's, again, these coilover springs are very common. This kit for Chevelles is very common. You don't like Ride Techs, you can run somebody else's. If you were a manufacturer producing this kit, you could just make your own. The shocks come up in pretty much the same general area that they did when this was a leaf spring car. Which brings me to the exhaust, which, strangely enough, everybody seems to forget that people want exhausts on at least some cars. I do. So the way I won't call it a stock muffler, but the front muffler, which Chrysler often refers to as a resonator, but anyways, the front muffler goes right in this area right here. In its stock configuration, it is a side inlet, center outlet. In A-bodies, GM A-bodies, it's a side inlet, side outlet. You can literally buy the hoop, the piece of pipe that comes out of the muffler and goes over the axle and stops on the other side of the axle from Summit for a GM A-body, all the way up to 3 inches. And basically what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to run GM A-body style mufflers here, side inlet, side outlet, the up pipe that will come and go over the axle, and I'll cut just on the other side right over there and run the pipes out the stock tailpipe location. And I won't have to do any fabrication, and it won't be one of these situations where other compromises have to be made to get the exhaust out. Because basically in this area right here, it's a Chevelle, more or less. And that's kind of the good things about this. This brace right here, and the work I'm going to do to the spring perch mount, which I may actually use the original one. I mean, I may sandblast it and just drill some holes and get some shims and use it, are the only two mods. And strangely enough, other than the hole in the car, which is, for me, is not a big deal, the car is completely returnable to stock. In other words, you haven't chopped the car into a billion pieces, you haven't screwed with the structural integrity of the car, you haven't stuck anything in any location it isn't supposed to have something in. You don't have really unfavorable control arm angles. Like I said, this is the same geometry GM ran in these cars from 68 to 72. So, and that was a heavier car than this. At least, probably was a heavier car than this. Oh, certainly. I mean, it had a frame under it, and this has got, well, stamped steel stuff that you call a frame. So, oh, there's one other thing I left out. This brace is going to be burned into the frame rails. The E-body, that's a frame rail right there, it's a piece of stamping. Okay, so it turns out that there's a big, I wanted to show you, this is a brand new piece right here. There's a big stamping in the bottom here. These are the seatbelt mounts. This flat area right here is where the pinion snubber hits. This whole stamping is here so that the load of the snubber hitting the car gets kind of spread out over the floor. It's spot welded all the way up here and all the way around here. So that brace is going to get welded when all this goes to final assembly. It's going to get welded right there to this. So this whole piece acts as a thrust, as an anchor for thrust loads into the body of the car. So when the axle rotates and pulls, it'll pull. It will actually, all that load will be translated into this part of the car right here and into these two frame rails, which is to say some of the strongest areas in the back of the car. It also removes pretty much all the chassis loads in the back of the car from right about there back. And it's important to remember that these cars have leaf springs under them. You can't really even see it. And about 30% of the back of the car is being held up by that part of the car right there, all the way to the end. E-body's the car ended when the leaf spring ended. In other words, if the leaf spring had been 3 inches longer, this car would have been 3 inches longer because they literally ran the mount to the end. So that about covers this, I hope. I think it would be a really good idea for someone to produce these parts that that would enable a lot of people to do this, I think. There you go.